Defending in FC25 is easier compared to the previous titles since the tackling is more reliable, applying pressure is stronger, and defender recovery time is much better. However, if you break one of the fundamental rules, you will easily have a meltdown in the back and concede more goals. In this video, we will talk about these key aspects that you should always pay attention to if you want to become a better defender in FC25. Let us start with the player switching, since it allows you to hop between defenders and select the right one to defend with. There are two player switches that you can use during the game. The first one is the L1-LB switch. While defending, your selected player is marked with a filled cursor above his head, but there's another one who is also marked with a white cursor. We call this the next player switching icon, and once you press your L1-LB button, you will instantly switch to them. The other player switch is a bit more advanced and will be applied with your right analog stick, which is why we call it the right stick switching. With this, you have the power to switch to a player in many directions. You have to take your currently selected player as the anchor point, identify the next player you want to switch to, and gently tap the right stick in their direction. You can imagine your currently selected player as the center of your right stick and then tap towards the next player. Once you switch, that player becomes the new anchor. If you want to make another switch, you need to imagine him as the new center of the right analog stick and choose the next switch direction accordingly. Between those two types of player switches, there is no correct or wrong one. Your purpose should be to use both of them in the defense and find a perfect mix. This means you have to use both player switches in order to defend one dangerous position successfully. Detailed examples like this and further in-depth explanations of player switching and also every single one of the aspects that we include in this video can be found in our complete course on the Guide Plus, which is completely dedicated to defending. If you want to become a master of the defense, check the links in the description right after this video. Once you have switched to the right defender, the next big thing will be to place your selected defender in the right areas of the pitch. Before answering the question, where do I place my defender? I want to briefly introduce you to the best defending stance you could have, the jockey. The jockey stance mainly helps you to maintain your positioning. It will help you to increase your defensive hitbox and remain better in front of the opponent, and also track them while helping you to block more passes and shots. To be able to jockey, you need to hold on to the L2-LT button. This will slow down your selected player, but he will still be able to move in any direction you want without breaking the defensive stance. The jockey stance helps you incredibly once you position yourself in the right spot against the attacker. But how would you define this right spot? First, you have to understand the attacker's intention and where the attack is going to position yourself correctly. Observing the next potential move is the key, and there are three options. When the opponent wants to explore the space ahead of them or already has a decent dribbling chance, you need to stop it. You have to see their running lane and take action. If you don't have the upper hand and the dribbler will touch the ball first, make sure you don't make a move directly into the dribbler's direction. Position yourself either in front of the dribbler if you have a decent spot, or on the same level if you're trying to catch him from the side in the open space. Wait for them to push the ball further away from their feet so that they will become vulnerable, and only then make your move. Once the opponent sees a player up front, they will try to pass the ball to him. Sometimes this is way too obvious and you can take action against it. When they turn themselves into a potential target, you can select one of your defenders and already move him into the passing lane and get a foot in. Using the right stick switching we just talked about is crucial. Identify the potential target, see your defender who is close to him, use your right stick switch to select him beforehand, and move him into the passing lane between the passer and the receiver, breaking the pass option, and with that also the attack. Defending space is similar, but it concerns mostly the runners in behind the defensive line. If you ignore the runner and the space, it is just a matter of time before your defense gets cut through and you will face a direct goal scoring opportunity. If you see a runner in the open space, select the defender who is most capable of covering the open area and move him in there. If that creates another open space, use the player switching to select the closest defender and again move him into that space. In all three cases of positioning, it is very important that you don't break your defensive shape. That means you shouldn't bring out defenders away from their position. Instead, try to maintain your defensive setup in the back safely and don't take unnecessary risks. Once you master the player switching and positioning, you can take your defense to a whole new level by understanding two defensive concepts. The first one is on-the-ball defending. You can switch to a player that directly defends the opponent's dribbler who is controlling the ball. On-the-ball defending is very effective to directly win the ball when the opponent is dribbling. If you're close enough, you put direct pressure on them and you can easily retrieve the ball. Here the opponent tries to get dangerous with his winger. I see all other options are being blocked, so I decide to go for the hands-on approach and aggressively get close to him by pushing my defender in front of him. Even if I fail with the first one, I quickly recover from it and win the duel in the second attempt. In some other cases, you won't be able to apply this concept, but instead cover the free area or the next potential passing target. This is what we call off-the-ball defending, where safety towards your goal comes first. As the opponent is trying to get out from his defense, I see the next potential passing opportunity. That is why I switch to one of my central midfielders and instantly try to cover the passing lane while my other midfielder goes up front to pressure the dribbler. The opponent sees that I'm covering the back off the ball, turns himself away from there, but still loses the possession. Use both concepts carefully where they are needed. You might have realized, especially with the off-the-ball defending, that we are using one advanced mechanic too often, and that is the second man pressure. This year, it is way too powerful since the AI players are defending much better. To be able to apply the second man pressure, you need to hold on to the R1/RB button. This will force the AI player, who is marked with the next player switch icon, to automatically apply pressure as long as you hold on to the button until their second man pressure stamina gets drained. You can simply see a green marker running off, and when it gets depleted, that AI player will stop pressuring with the second man pressure until their stamina gets recharged. Even though the second man pressure is a useful tool, it is also a dangerous one. If you hold on to it continuously, you may force a defender out of his position, and that may create a gap in the back. There are two ways to benefit from second man pressure. When I see an attacker who is getting stuck on the wing, I think of applying pressure. The second man pressure is incredibly strong here. Hold on to your R1/RB button and the marked player will apply pressure from one side. It is really important that you see the side he is exactly covering and you cover the opposite side manually. This will apply pressure on both sides, and since the attacker already had limited moving options, they will easily lose possession. The other time I use the second man pressure is when I want to cover up multiple opportunities. In some cases, especially in larger areas, you can't cover every chance with a single defender. So, getting one defender close enough to the dribbler is the first step. Once you have done that, try to understand what the opponent wants as their next move. If you see an available player, make sure you switch to a defender who can cover them, and in the meanwhile, hold on to your R1 button. This will activate the second man pressure, and the player who just got close to the dribbler will apply pressure on the dribbler while you're covering a dangerous opportunity manually in case the opponent goes for it. This way you easily cover two chances at the same time, and the success rate to defend even with the AI player will hugely increase. Save the best part for the last. Tackling become even stronger this year if used correctly, but even though it is more viable, there are a couple of things you need to avoid while tackling. First, you have to make sure that you have a real opportunity to go for a tackle. This means the opponent is facing you, you have a clear sight on the ball, and you are close enough. Any other challenge will most likely fail, and you will achieve nothing with it. The perfect time to place your tackle is when the opponent makes a touch on the ball. This is when they push the ball away from their feet and they become vulnerable against the defenders. If you try to go in for a tackle right when they have full control of the ball, they can easily dodge you. So, watch for the ball contacts, wait for them to become vulnerable, and place your tackle only then for a higher success rate. There will be three styles of tackling that you can use. The first one is the standing tackle, which is also a lot better this year. Only by using the standing tackles you can become incredibly aggressive. To execute a standing tackle, simply press your circle button or B button. But while doing it, make sure you pay attention to the left stick input. If you point out the dribbler while trying to tackle, there's a chance that either you missed the tackle or foul the dribbler unnecessarily. So make sure you are pointing out the ball's direction to increase your success chance. The second one is the sliding tackle, which is very punishing but also very rewarding this year. The sliding tackles have very powerful animations that can prevent very strong chances, but still you have to be very careful. Same as the standing tackles, you have to adjust the left stick correctly and of course towards the ball, otherwise you will be punished harshly. Sliding tackles could become handy to close off the gap and get your feet on the ball if you're not close enough to go for a standing tackle. I use them a lot, especially in the open spaces where the opponent thinks they have space in front of him and goes out for a run, where I switch to a close defender unexpectedly to retrieve the ball, which is pushed too far away from the opponent's feet. Dangerous as mentioned, but very rewarding. And for the last part, we have the shoulder challenges, which could be applied with the advanced defending. To be able to use this strong feature, make sure you have switched from tactical to advanced defending in your gameplay settings menu. The advanced defending allows you to go for a shoulder-to-shoulder challenge, which requires physicality. While you're controlling a defender who has a physical advantage over the dribbler, make sure you go onto the same level with them. Once you have done it, point out the left analog stick towards their running direction, but also try to create physical contact with them, and in the meanwhile, hold on to your X button briefly. This will create a shoulder-to-shoulder challenge, and your player will push the dribbler out of the position within the game rules. Very strong, right? Conquering the defensive meta will hugely increase your win rate, but you will also need a strong formation to fortify your defense. Do not hesitate and check out our latest video in which we gave you the best meta formations of FC25 that appears on your screen right now to find the most suitable one for your gameplay. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Until next time, take care and peace.